Oh, I'm sorry, you haven't been here to hear the announcements. That's my fault. Saturday night we're having an activity here at the church. We're having a game night, so we're going to bring board games. If you have board games that you want to bring, maybe a family favorite, bring them with you. We're going to bring some of our games that we have. I'm going to bring my cornhole boards, so I'm going to set them up in the gym. Hopefully, I don't know how much room there'll be because I just got thinking that they set up for Spanish service in there, but we should have some room on either side. So we're going to have game night, 6 o'clock this coming Saturday night, and it will end probably at 8 o'clock because we're all middle-aged people, and so none of us like to stay up past 8 o'clock. So I understand how that is now. But so we'll stay till the party ends. It'll probably, like I said, be 8:30, and we'll close everything down. So that is our announcements. The bulletin has a couple announcements in there. For sake of time, I'm not going to read them. But get you a bulletin before we go, or before you leave today, and you'll have everything you need. Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. I told my wife I was not going to make this a two-part lesson, but this will probably be a two-part lesson. Because I don't think I can talk fast enough to cram all this in. But it'll be okay. We'll make the best of it. So this week we're doing lesson number 4, which is we're talking about striving together, and we're talking about striving together in relationships. Okay, striving together in relationships. One of the things that everybody has in their life are relationships. It's one thing we all have in common. Everybody has a relationship status. Okay, if you're married, you have a relationship that you have to worry about. If you're not married, you still have relationships. You have friends. You have coworkers. You have family. You are somebody's son or daughter. You are somebody's brother or sister, most likely. I'm not, so don't ask me how my siblings are because I don't have an answer. You are probably somebody's cousin. You're probably somebody's something, okay? You could be somebody's best friend. You could be somebody's worst friend. You could be somebody's enemy, but you still have a relationship there that you have to uphold. So we all have relationships, and relationships are important. They're an important part of life. If you sat in your house all day and did nothing, and you never made contact with the outside world, you would be a sad soul.
Right.
God has created us to have relationships with people. The reason why social media is so popular is because our natural core inside is to interact with people. Some people you like to interact with, some people you don't. Okay, that's part of life too. But we all crave relationship. And so we're talking about striving together, and we're talking about striving in relationships, and we're looking at these things that Paul has done here in Romans. We're going to talk about this relationships that Paul has and how to have the proper relationships with people and how to strengthen them. It would be really bad if we were bad with people. Okay, the best way that I can think of relationships is being a people person. The job I have is very people oriented. If you can't get along with people, you're going to have a real tough job working in a restaurant. And we've all been to that restaurant where there is somebody who is not a people person. You've been there, you've done that, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to give illustrations. Hopefully it wasn't at my restaurant. Okay, if it was, don't tell me because I don't want to know, but because I don't want to fire anybody. Okay, so, but we've all had those problems. Relationships are part of the building blocks of life. Therefore, we need to know how to have proper relationships. So we're going to look at 3 areas of our life that will help in our relationships. Okay, so number 1, first off, is you have to possess the right character. Okay, so number 1, you have to possess the right character. Character is your underlined word there. And if you look in verses 9 through 12, Romans chapter 12, verse 9 through 12 says, "Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, and honor preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer." That's a mouthful, okay? So if you stop and we're going to break those down a little bit with some points underneath that you can see in your passage there. But possessing the right character. The question is left here, obviously, do you have the right character? Do you have the right character? What is character? I've heard people define character a lot of different ways. And then I've heard people describe it one way a lot. And I like to think of character as what you do when nobody's watching. Okay, I've heard that said a lot of times. Character is what you do when nobody's looking. At your job, do you have character? What do you do when the boss isn't there? Do you work just as hard as when he is there? When the boss isn't there, do you just kind of go, okay, well, hey, nobody's watching now. Man, I've been waiting for a break. I've been working hard. Let's do it. Or do you say, hey, you know what? Character. I can do this. Character is what you do when nobody's looking. And then I heard somebody say this, that character is what you do when nobody's watching, but remember, God always watches. And so we stop and we think, I don't know if you've been there as teenagers, you probably have, this thought has crossed your mind that, well, nobody's looking, so what can I get away with? And I'm just as guilty as that as anybody else is. That's our mentality, that's how we think. But we should remember that God's always watching, so our character needs to stay at a high level. So number one, we have to possess the right character. And then letter A under that, we should possess sincerity. If you look in verse 9 and 10, it says, let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, and honor preferring one another. That word dissimulation refers to hypocrisy, or in today's term, faking it. Now, at work, I've been known to tell people, fake it till you make it. Okay, if you come into work and for the first 6 months I was there, my job was to make sure that the people at the front were happy and were greeting people and were nice and were using the proper words to say, and they were being happy. Okay, they were cheering people and they were greeting people properly. And my common phrase to them was, fake it till you make it. If you don't want to be here, act like you want to be here. Put a smile on your face. If you don't want me to get at you anymore, put a smile on your face and act like you're here, and I'll leave you alone. Just like preacher says, okay, he starts preaching, he says, if I hit you step on your toes, say amen louder and I'll leave you alone. Okay? Act like you enjoy it and everything will be okay. But that word sincerity, the word dissimulation, it says, let love be without dissimulation. That's basically saying, have true, honest love. Okay? Don't fake about it. You can be friendly to somebody and you can enjoy being around them, or there are those that if you don't enjoy it, you can act like it a little bit. Okay, but this is saying that love, the love that you have for someone, you shouldn't fake it. You don't push that love there. We should prove sincerity. We should prove our sincerity by our actions. And the way that you treat people will show how sincere you are about them. If you only do things for somebody the whole time while everybody's watching, it would be like this. If I came in and I brought coffee for this half of the room and nothing for this half, and I did it 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, everybody over here is going to go, either we need to put more chairs over here or he doesn't like us. Okay, somebody's going to either think, hey, how can we crave over here and just make one-sided? Or they're going to think, well, what's wrong? And can you imagine if you switch rows over here, then all of a sudden I start bringing stuff over here. So, whoa, okay, what's going on? That action there shows how much you love someone or how much you care about somebody. So we need to have sincerity. We should possess sincerity in all that we do. We should possess purity. Letter B is purity. We should possess purity. There's an illustration given here that I'm going to read in the book, and it'll kind of put everything together. If you look in verse 9, it says, verse 9 describes purity 2 ways. It says, hating that which is evil and sticking or cleaving to, abhor that which is evil. Abhor is another word for hating or to stay away from. That which is evil, cleave to that which is good. And that cleaving to, if you look at both ways, it's describing things. You should be pure from the evil, and then you should stick to that which is good. The illustration is given. I didn't realize this. There's a poison that they make that looks like spring water. It's clear, and they say that if you put the glass next to a glass of water, you can't tell the difference. There's no bubbles in it. There's no way to describe which is different. Can you imagine if I set 2 glasses of what looked like water up here and said, okay, one of these is water and the other one is poison. Who wants to be our first test? Well, they look good. they look the same. You don't know what's good and what's bad. You don't know what can help you or what can hurt you. That water, man, that'll help you out. You go outside for a little bit, push a lawnmower around for a yard, do some gardening, do things outside, come inside and boy, it's so sweaty, you're so hot, you're just so thirsty, and let's say your wife puts 2 glasses down. Okay, honey, one of those is water, the other one's going to hurt you a little bit. Your choice. I don't know about you, I'm not grabbing one of those glasses. I'm going to go find a garden hose, I'm going to go to the sink, I'm going to go somewhere where I trust the source. Okay? And that idea there of possessing purity is, what do you put in your body? There's a lot of things in the world today that may look good on the outside. And you don't know what is actually inside that's going to hurt you. Can you imagine another thought of purity that we've been given? Say you go to, I don't know, a fancy restaurant around here other than maybe Ruth's Chris. Okay, if you don't know about Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, that is a prime destination. You're talking $50, $60 6-ounce steaks. Okay, it is just an amazingly expensive, extravagant. 17 forks, 3 knives, 4 spoons, stuff you don't even know why you have on the plate. It's just you go there and you sit down, and let's say that they come out, they put a glass down, they pour water, because that's what they do. They bring you water out, and all of a sudden you go and man, I'm thirsty, I need that. And you look, and there's a big old smudge, and maybe some lipstick on the glass, and so, oh, that is awful. That is not pure. That is dirty as can be. I don't want that. And yet sometimes that's how we do things in life. We find the things that the world has, and we say, well, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice a little bit because what's inside is good, even though what's around it might be bad. That's going to be your, hold on a minute, that's going to be your TV preachers. Okay? What they say may be good, but that outside may taint you a little bit. Okay? And you say, oh, not everybody's bad. Okay, not everybody's bad, but why go through the bad to get a little bit of good? Mm-hmm. That's like saying, hey, you know what? I wrapped up, I took a nice steak. Okay, I'm a porterhouse guy. If anybody wants to make steak sometime, I'm a porterhouse fan. Let's say I took a nice grilled, medium well porterhouse steak. Don't worry, I put it in a Ziploc bag, tied it in a plastic bag, but it's out back in the trash can. It's good, like I tied it up, you just got to find it. No matter how much I love steak, I'm not jumping in that trash can to get it. It may still be good, and it may taste great, but why go through the bad to get something good? Okay, and that's the idea of keeping yourself pure. I'd rather go buy my own steak and cook it where I know it's safe. But this thing of purity, we should possess purity in our life. Letter C, we should, put a word. There you go. We should possess dependability.
That's right.
Dependability. We should possess purity. We're talking about character, okay? What kind of character should we have? We should have sincere character, pure character. We should have dependability. Verse number 11 says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Relationships are built on trust, and it's hard to trust undependable people. Can you imagine if you say, okay, we're coming to Sunday school this morning, wonder if Brother John's going to be there? That'd be a horrible thought. For the time I was here, I never one time wondered, is Tim Currington going to be in Sunday school? Unless he said, I'm going to be out of town, I knew he was going to be here. It wasn't one of those like, hey, you know what? It's just a random Sunday. I wonder if he's going to make it today. He was dependable. I don't wonder, unless preacher's out of town, I don't wonder if preacher's going to be standing behind the pulpit. He's here. And that's the idea that we need to have with this thing of dependability. John R. Rice, I believe it was, said that the greatest ability is dependability. You can have a lot of abilities in your life. Okay, you can have talent, you can have greatness, you can have ability, but the greatest ability you have is dependability. When you say, I'm going to do something, can someone trust you? So we need to have the character, we need to have dependability also. And then letter D, we need to possess resiliency. We need to possess resiliency. If you look at verse 12, it says, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. You see there that we are supposed to rejoice in hope. We're supposed to be patient in tribulation. We're supposed to continue in prayer. And those are the things that resiliency is a never quit mentality. It means that no matter what happens, you're going to push through whatever that hard time is, whatever that struggle is, whatever the situation that stands in front of you, you're going to push through. You're going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be resilient. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I believe I'm on the right path. And that's a good character trait to have. A lot of people say, oh man, I've got character. You may say, hey, I'm pretty sincere. I can handle that. Like, I try to be honest, genuine with people. I try really hard to have the right purity, the right mindset, the right things to get in my life and keep the wrong things out. You may say, dependability, hey, I'm working on that. But I think of all these, if you have resiliency, you can have the rest of those. If you say, you know what, I'm not going to quit, I'm going to try to be more dependable. Okay, resiliency. You say, hey, I'm going to try to keep the right things in my life. Good. Keep going. Be resilient in everything that you do. Keep trying, keep pushing, and possess resiliency. Number 2, we talk about this, we need to practice the right behavior. Number 1, we need to possess the right character. Number 2, we need to practice the right behavior. Practice the right behavior. If you look at verse number 13, it says, distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality, bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another, mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. We see here we need to practice the right behavior. The set of verses lay out a pattern of how a Christian should behave. Behavior is an important thing. Okay, there are ways to behave in every situation. Preacher and I were talking one time, and we were given some illustrations. And I said this: if you go to a Durham Bulls game, you're not going to go in a suit and tie. Okay, it's just not. Now they used to. If you see pictures of baseball games from the 20s and the 30s, people wore shirts and ties and sport coats. It was a big deal. But that was that generation. That's how they dressed up. It was a big deal. But nowadays, if you go, you're going to stand out. And there's a way to behave. If you go to an opera or a show of some sort, they want you to dress up. They expect you to come nicely dressed. And so you understand there is a behavior pattern in every situation in life. If you come to church, okay, there's a way to behave. I've been in some churches where they tell you the way to behave is you sit down and you be quiet and you don't do anything. That's hard to do. Okay? That's hard for me to do. Some people, they don't mind, but that's hard for me to do. But if you come to our church, if you were here Wednesday night, you learned that all the men stand up and say amen. That's just what you do. And every place has a difference, but there's a way to behave in every situation. And this set of verses will talk about how our behavior is to be. So letter A, we should practice generosity. Okay, generosity is your word. This doesn't pop up. There we go. We should practice generosity. How should we behave in our relationships? How should we behave in our relationships? We should practice generosity. We should always be looking around for ways to help those around us. Okay, what can we do to help? We should be looking for the needs of others. And I feel like this church is probably the best church I've ever been to with helping other people. The way that we rally behind those who need something is just amazing. I've never seen a group of people who are so in tune with others. The way we took care of the Blackwoods. The way that we helped out the Martinos when they were going through. And countless other people who have had those. But because those are the two recent ones, countless people we've helped. And that is what we're supposed to have as a Christian. Our behavior pattern should be that of generosity and helping others. We should also have, we should practice hospitality. We should practice hospitality. I don't know what you think of when you hear hospitality. Okay, my idea of hospitality before I started studying this was just being friendly. Okay, that's what you think of. With hospitality, you think of kindness and being friendly to people, being hospitable. Okay, we always think of just, maybe it's when someone comes in, hey, how you doing? We think of that as hospitality. But as I started studying hospitality, I didn't realize the depth it was. In the book, I don't know if yours has it, I think it does, like mine does, but it says the term hospitality involves entertaining strangers. Entertaining strangers. I thought, oh my goodness, here we were, I thought I was a hospitable person, but I'm not. Because how often do we entertain strangers? Okay, when somebody comes in for the first time, how welcoming are we? You know, we heard the illustration, I believe it was Brother Cox who said it last week, that when people come in, he said that people he would visit had never said, I've never shaken so many hands before. And then I thought it was, you know, just the thing they do, and then I realized they were all genuinely happy to see us. That is hospitality. Hospitality is not going to our friends and saying, hey, good to have you here today. Hospitality is when we reach out to people we don't even know and make them feel welcome. And I thought, man, how is our hospitality to other people? And now this is referring, we're talking again about relationships, but think about it to people we don't know and building the relationship there. So we should practice hospitality. And then letter C, we should practice empathy. We should practice empathy. If you look in verse number 15 there, page verse 15, it says, rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. We talk about empathy. Empathy is simply this, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. And that's hard. It's hard to have empathy because someone may go through something that you've never been through. I have not lost a parent. Okay? If you come in and say, my parent has passed away, I can say I'm sorry, but for me to say, man, I know exactly how you feel, I can't. I don't understand. The closest I've had is my father-in-law passed away, and you know, we were close, but not like a parent and child. And I can't tell you I understand how you feel. I can feel sad for your situation. But that thing of empathy is the key of unlocking, I said this, empathy is a key of unlocking many relationships in our life. If you can have that bond with someone to say, you know what, I've been down that road before, let's take care of it together. Or rejoice with those that are rejoicing. Hey, you know what, man, maybe a family member just got saved. Hey, you know what, we can rejoice in that because you know what, mine are too. Let's rejoice. But at the same time, let's find someone we can console, we can weep with when they start to weep. And so we see here that we should have empathy. And then letter D, we should practice humility. We should practice humility. Humility, it says in verse number 16, be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Excuse me. Many relationship issues would vanish if we dealt with this issue. Could you think of, if we all had humility instead of pride, how many more relationships could we reach? How many more people could we have? We look and we tend to say, well, I don't have anything in common with that person, so I'm just going to leave them alone. Okay? That's a little bit of a pride issue. We can learn about it. As I've said before, I don't know anything about gardening. But if there was someone in here who was the master gardener, I would try to learn something so I could have something to communicate you with. I heard it said one time that I forget, there was a preacher that I heard say that he tries to read the newspaper and find little articles that deal with every aspect of life so he knows how to talk to people. And if you stop and think about that, if you can pick little things out just to be able to show somebody some humility maybe, to be able to carry on and not look at them differently, okay? And to say, hey, let's get rid of the pride that we have and think of humility. Statement I heard in college, humility is not thinking lesser of yourself, it's not thinking of yourself at all. When you think about this idea of humility, if we would just take ourselves completely out of the picture, then that's when we don't have to worry about pride sneaking in. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's not thinking of yourself at all. And that is how we should practice humility. And we got a couple of minutes. I'll give you the points, and then we'll keep going. Letter 3, providing the right response. Okay, number 3. I said letter 3, didn't I? Number 3, providing the right response. In our relationships, what kind of response do we need to give to people when they come and approach us? Letter A, we should provide I can't say it. Vulnerability. That word. Okay? So we should provide that. Vulnerability is basically just showing that you're human. Okay? I don't know how simply to say it than that you're human. We're vulnerable people. And we try to put up walls and we try to put up shields. But simply saying that is we should show people that we're human and we care. Okay, we can be human just like they are. Letter B, we should provide honesty. It went away. We should provide honesty. Every relationship and every situation we have in life should be dealt with honesty. Nobody likes to be around. It goes back to the whole trust thing. Okay, dependable. If you are not an honest person, you're not going to be dependable. Honesty may be the best quality or character trait that a person can have. If I know that you're an honest person, I'll give you the moon. Well, not in a couple days, but they're going to have it tomorrow. But you can get a lot of things if you have honesty. Okay, people will give you whatever you want because they trust you, because of that honest thing. And so we need to provide people. When we talk about our response, we need to respond with honesty. Letter C, we need to provide civility. We need to provide civility. Civility is simply defined as politeness and courteous in behavior or speech. If we could just be kind and courteous to people when we respond to them, and I can be just as guilty when somebody starts to get at you, or you're in a tight situation, or you're very hectic situation. How do you respond? I tend to respond with maybe a little harshness. I had a situation like that at work last night, and I had to go apologize to the guy. Nothing more humbling than to spout off at somebody and then realize what you did was wrong and had to go back. We were super busy last night, and it was crazy all of a sudden. And a guy came over and asked me a question, and I just let him. I was so filled to the top with, I just kind of let it all out on this 15-year-old kid. And I turned around and I thought, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. And walk over to you, and you kind of easily, like you're 5 years old again. I'm sorry. He kind of looked at me and said, what are you talking about? So I told him, and I said, I didn't mean to say what I said. It came out the wrong way. The words were right, but boy, what I said, the tone I used was just not what I should have said. And I'm so sorry. And he kind of looked at me and said, well, we're busy, don't worry about it. And he had the right attitude about it. But some people, man, I could have just killed that poor kid the way I did it. And we need to talk to people with politeness. And letter D, lastly, we need to provide serenity. Serenity. It'll come up. There you go. Serenity, simply this, again, what I wasn't last night, it's the state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. Calm, peaceful, and untroubled. I've been trying to get things in my life here lately where the Bible says that a soft answer turneth away wrath. Okay, and I've been working on that, and it's amazing how when you do that, situation escalates, and you say, man, okay, all right, everybody, this is what we're going to do. And nobody listens. So you go, okay, here's what we're doing. And then you think, okay, I just figured it out. This is how we do it. It doesn't help anybody. You got to keep working it. I think about it if you have kids. Okay, it's real hard to talk to kids in a calm manner. Kids will be running around. Okay, everybody sit down. Everybody sit down. We're going to calm down, everybody. They're still running around. Okay, everybody calm down. I'm going to talk soft, calm down. Sit down! It's like, okay, I can't do it. But we've got to work on that. And that's that thing of serenity, being calm. Some people, man, they're just mellow yellow. Okay, they're there. They're like, okay, let's do this. Some people, they're high strung. If that's you, work on ways. Find with, what do they tell you? Think about flowing palm trees and whatever. Yeah, that doesn't help me either. But that reminds me of Florida, and then I get angry again. So, but let's work on our relationships, having the right mentality in our relationships that we all have. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning, Lord. I thank you for those that are here. I thank you for the lessons. Lord, I ask that you help us to take something from it, Lord. Maybe all of it doesn't apply to us, but Lord, I ask that you help us to find the things that do apply to us and fit those to our lives, God. We ask that you would just help us today. Be with our preacher as he preaches, God. Help us to have an open heart and open ears to what he has for us. In you we pray. Amen. We do have Amos visiting with us. Not first time to church, but first time to the class. And I meant to say something before, but Amos, we're glad you're here. So stop by, make you feel welcome.